Welcome. It is time for a Constitution podcast, which is an extension of my radio show on KMET 1490 AM every Saturday from 1 to 3. This is an extension. This is news I've decided I would try to get out there on video to you. We tend to only be on the air on the radio once a week, so if there's a new breaking news that comes up, I want to get it to you through the podcast. I've changed the set around. I hope you like the new studio look. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know. And don't forget to subscribe below if you like what you see. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the different stories that are, well, in the news right now. The big news item has been the trial in the Senate, the impeachment trial. Now understand there's no evidence, but the House prosecution right now is putting forth what they call them, the House managers are putting forth their argument as the prosecution. So the impeachment is going on. The trial is going on in the U.S. Senate right now. Where, as of the time of broadcast of this, we've gone through 2 of the 3 days of the House presenting their focus of abuse of power and contempt of Congress. They, on the 3rd day, are expected to focus on the abuse of power. Abuse of power charge is the first of 2 articles of impeachment against President Trump. That charge includes President Trump's withholding or alleged withholding of nearly $400 million in security aid for Ukraine, which Democrats argue was done to pressure the Ukrainian government to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden. Of course, the evidence does not suggest that. The evidence, while Burisma has been brought up by President Trump, and the Trumps tell you whenever the president says Burisma, he means Biden's, that is not one and the same. That is like saying, because I said I'm going to investigate the House of Representatives, that means I'm specifically going after Congressman Mulvaney. No, he's may be a part of Congress or part of the House, but the investigation is about the House, first of all. Second of all, abuse of power is something where, let's say, he's using executive privilege in ways that is beyond what is expected of the executive branch, something like that. This abuse of power is not. Second of all, in reality, the president has been doing his job. I mean, think about it. Ukraine has been steeped in corruption. They want our aid. We want to make sure that they are not steeped in corruption before we give them aid. That just makes sense. And that's what they're attacking them for. Of course, the thing I've been using to kind of help you understand what's been going on with this impeachment trial, because remember, they were talking impeachment long before he even gave his inauguration address. Basically, if you take this impeachment idea to the Wild West, a scene from the Wild West, this is basically what they're saying. Yes, we know there's no evidence that you stole any horses, but we're going to prosecute you for resisting being hung for it. That's essentially going on. What's going on. On Saturday, we'll get more into the impeachment. We'll explain some of what's going on. I was on Next Network News just recently, or News Network just recently with Gary Franchi to talk about the impeachment, and I really hammered on due process and how due process is not being followed, and how when you don't follow due process, it really gives corruption an opportunity to do whatever they do as corrupt powers. Speedy trial, public trial, all of those things. It's all the elements of due process. The expedition is the important part because, as they say, justice delayed is frequently justice denied. All right, let's go on to the next story. According to news articles that just came out, the New York Times had quashed a story about a 2016 White House meeting with the quote-unquote whistleblower and Ukrainians on Burisma. In an exclusive report, Fox News host Laura Ingraham revealed that the New York Times last May quashed a story about a White House meeting in January of 2016 between Obama administration officials, including the so-called whistleblower, and Ukrainian officials that addressed Hunter Biden's problematic position at Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma Holdings. Ingram said she obtained a chain of State Department emails between New York Times journalist Ken Vogel and State Department official Kate Schilling, centering on the reporter's request for comment on the story. Hunter Biden, 49, the scandal-plagued son of Democratic President frontrunner Joe Biden, is a central figure in the Ukraine scandal due to his high-paid no-show job at Burisma, a position he secured despite having no relevant experience in that field. Democrats say the president withheld military aid from Ukraine until he could get a guarantee from the Ukrainian President Zelensky that the Bidens would be investigated. However, a document unearthed last October shows the Ukrainian officials had actually opened a new probe into Burisma months before President Trump's July 2019 phone call with the Ukrainian president. Some Republicans have called for Hunter Biden to testify in the Senate impeachment trial. Once again, the criminals here is the Bidens and the Democrats. Hunter Biden is obviously a part of Biden using his political influence in order to get his son this wonderful job, so on and so forth. Going back to what the Democrats have been saying, they've been saying that by claiming that you want to investigate Burisma, that means you want to investigate the Bidens, and Trump wanted to investigate the Bidens because they were a political enemy, because Joe Biden is going to be running for as a candidate for president, and so it's a stab at political opposition, so on and so forth. Once again, first of all, Biden is not the political opposition yet. He has not won a primary. Second of all, the corruption is obvious. Third of all, the president should want to make sure that corruption is stamped out before he gives aid to a country. So whether or not he was using that investigation in relation to aid, I would think that that's what you'd want your president to do. Make sure there's no corruption before you give a country aid. That's just me. All right, next story. Republican Jim Jordan has said there are 7 important things Schiff has had exactly wrong. Yet we're supposed to believe him? After all his claims that turned out to be exactly wrong, how can senators be expected to believe Representative Adam Schiff, Democrat from California's claims during the Senate impeachment trials? Representative Jim Jordan asked on Wednesday. Representative Jordan tweeted video of his comments to reporters following impeachment manager Schiff's 2+ hours of allegations against President Donald Trump at the trial. Here's what he got wrong. Now understand, while this is not technically testimony, really this does border on perjury, in my opinion, by Schiff. Schiff said that there is more than circumstantial evidence of collusion. Not true. Nunes' memo was false. Not necessarily true. FISA process was fine. We're getting ready to find out information in the next couple of days, actually. Rudy Giuliani and a few other people behind that to show that the FISA process wasn't fine. He said that the whistleblower would testify. He has not. He said we haven't spoken with the whistleblower. I believe he has. He said that he was parodying the President of the United States call with the Ukrainian president. That was no parody. He treated it as if it was fact. He put it out there as if people were supposed to believe it. What he was saying in that was fact. And finally, Mr. Z referred to Zelensky. Well, maybe, maybe not. Once again, that cannot be proven. None of this is evidence. But because of all of those lies, today we're supposed to trust him in this hearing now that the trial has moved to the Senate. In his press briefing, Representative Jordan explained why each of Schiff's 7 claims proved to be exactly wrong, and asked them how we're supposed to believe Adam Schiff today, everything he's saying. Representative Jordan also noted an instance where Representative Schiff made an allegation against President Trump, but failed to mention that it is based on a quote-unquote presumption. Quote from Mr. Jordan, but today we're supposed to believe him? He just talked for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're supposed to believe everything he said today, in spite of that history where 7 important things he had exactly wrong. So yeah, when he talks about Ambassador Sondland, he doesn't tell you that was all presumption. Mr. Sondland said that. Even Congressman Turner asked him under oath at the hearing. So that's the kind of game that we're playing here. And again, I think the American people see through it all. Next story. President Trump was the first president in January 2018. He became the first sitting U.S. president to address the March for Life rally in Washington, D.C. This year, he will be the first president in history to attend the March for Life rally, which he'll be doing on Friday. First sitting president to attend the annual march and rally, which protests both the practice and legality of abortion. It is held in Washington, D.C. on or around the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, a landmark, unconstitutional landmark decision that was issued in 1974 by the United States Supreme Court that was believed to decriminalize abortion nationally, of which the federal courts, the Supreme Court, doesn't have that authority. That's for a different discussion. The March for Life is a movement born out of love, President Trump says. You love every child born and unborn because you believe that every life is sacred, that every child is a precious gift from God. This year, President Trump will attend the March for Life in person. President Donald Trump will be the first U.S. president to ever attend the annual March for Life once again, and we're excited that he's doing that. This is the most pro-life president I think we've had in history. And those of you who are conservative never Trumpers out there, I'm still not trying. I'm not figuring you guys out. This is this president may not claim to be conservative. He may not technically be a Republican, but he is acting in a more conservative manner than any president in our lifetime, and that includes Ronald Reagan. All right, that's the end of the this podcast. I want to bring more news stories to you as they come up. Some of the stuff I'll read, some of this I'll give you constitutional opinion. I want to try to get the information out to you. I want to be more involved in getting that information to you. If you want Constitution Podcast to be your source for news, feel free to continue to come to this page to watch these episodes. Subscribe below, hit the notification bell. You can also go to politicalpistachio.com because whenever I make these videos, I also put them on my website, Political Pistachio. And don't forget also to visit me on my donation page. Go to douglasvgibbs.com or politicalpistachio.com and hit the yellow donate button to help fund what I do. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.